Moscow 5 taking it back, and then back and forth. Moscow 5 controlling all of the Baron attempts and takes, and it really what escalated them into a big blue fight, and then they took down a Tarek, escalating that into a snowball. The first two turrets in mid for them, or not first two, but those two to get to the inhibitor, and they just kept going into the Nexus.
Yeah, it was a series of really clutch plays back and forth. You know, Curse got that first blood early on. They really pulled a very, very big lead, but it was a number of clutch plays. There was the early Golem buff steal from Alex Ish playing Karthus for Moscow 5 at the 7-minute mark. And so they had, 2 blues for a while, and they managed to kind of stabilize all their lanes, hand out to Genja, who built a little bit tanky in the mid game, knew he was getting assassinated a bunch, so he got Mercury Treads, he went and bought a quick cloth armor, really tried to keep himself alive in those fights, and then finally came up to that end game where he had Phantom Dancer and an Infinity Edge, positioned well and survived the battles. And we are here into the final ban, and you can see M5 actually banning out LeBlanc. They were like, oh, right, you play that champion. So interesting there. They're actually targeting their bans pretty heavily. And, of course, they get to play Urgot. So, they switched one of their bans out. They left Urgot in themselves. And, of course, Curse had to ban that one out. And so they got to get one more ban. And they removed one of the options that only Curse plays and they don't. So it's kind of like it's free option limitations, basically.
Right.
Because, we would never pick it anyway. The fact that you might means, yeah, let's just remove that from you.
See, Moscow 5 still kind of going for that same composition, liking Shen. Usually they also grab the Twisted Fate, but that was the last ban from CURSE.EU and the Karthus. So they're not going to be mobile with those champions. However, Shen still having that global ultimate. They are picking up Zinnik as well, and that is something that we didn't really see Diamond Prox playing too much, but I did believe it was in that composition for these guys the first time they played the Shen, Twisted Fate, Nocturne for that quasi-global and the ultimates.
Yeah, so, stealing away that Nocturne this time, the Shen, as you said a few times, can play a number of different roles. He could be solo top, he could be in the jungle, and so there's no real cards played here for Moscow 5. They can make any kind of switch they want. They could grab that jungle Maokai, or they could grab that jungle Lee Sin, as Diamond likes to play, or they could pick something entirely different, give him Shen, and run something else there for Darien. We saw him play Vladimir. One of the few times he went non-melee was against that match with Counterlogic Gaming last night. So there's a lot of options here for Moscow 5, and Curse going to once again grab Graves and say, yeah, you worked with Kog'Maw last time, but I guess they think they know what they can do this time to make it better for him and actually shut that champion down. So we'll see what they do with Graves here in the mix, if they can actually shut down that Kog'Maw, or if Moscow 5 chooses something different.
Yeah, see, they do go for the Nunu grab there. Darien is your top laner, but these guys can really choose for anybody on their team respectively. And it looks like they will actually grab up the Nunu Kog'Maw. Again, they like that. We did see that Genja was picking up a lot of those living artillery kills as the fight was being dispersed. He's the one that can catch him when the Requiem puts him to Sliver of Health. But this time, they're really going to have to just focus on getting those kills because they won't have Requiem to do that damage.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, it looks like one of these teams wisened up and said, look, we should probably ban Karthus. It seems to be really strong. It seems to pick up a lot of kills. Let's make it do something else. And, Karthus, generally speaking, Karthus players have been having a really good time at this tournament. They had a great time last weekend as well. Curse finally wising up and banning that champion out, and now they're grabbing their own sort of champions here. Morgana going to be in the mix here. We did see her a couple times. Curse did run that against PAH yesterday to great effect, where they had that Malphite ult into the Flash Morgana, and she got that Quadra kill there. And they're otherwise picking very similar lineups. They still like that Graves Tarek versus Nunu Kog'Maw. They said, yeah. And realistically, it did work for them last time. The early game went very well with Graves Tarek. They pushed and pushed and pushed. They got a lot of tower damage. They did bring them down to a low health inhibitor turret, but they weren't really able to keep pushing, and that seemed weird to me. That Curse were able to kind of shove, but they kind of let up, and they let that late game happen. Now, maybe they don't care about late game because Moscow 5, they don't get Karthus. And maybe Curse says, yeah, without Karthus, Nunu Kog's scary, but if that's the only thing that's scary, we don't care so much. Who knows right now?
Wow, Alex Ish is his top list. That Rise Galio Mord, and there's Galio. Now, I have to question, with Blood Boil in here and being able to speed up the team, does that kind of counter the Soul Shackles? They're going to be able to just get right out of that.
Well, it's going to just depend on who gets what out in time.
Right.
Because you've got one amazing synergy here, which is Nunu Absolute Zero into Galio Ultimate. And actually, both of these ultimates channel faster than Soul Shackles. Yeah. The second Morgana hits R, so can Nunu, and he'll get a full channel out. And that actually might be something that Diamond chooses to do, to say, if you want to fight on top of Soul Shackles, you're fighting an Absolute Zero. If you don't, then you can run away. I'll be a tank. I'm not worried about it. You know, he typically tends to run health quintessences and things like that in his builds, so that's absolutely a very big option for him.
Wow, melee all over the place from Moscow 5, an in-your-face team with Darian on the back line to throw out living artillery here. We do see there is a really big poke comp coming from Curse here.
Yeah, they are very, very long-ranged, absolutely. They do even have a little bit of heal there, that Tarek grab. And they're going to grab a counter lane here for Aurelia, and this could be a very good pick here. Darius is one of the best counters to Aurelia. We had not seen her yet in this tournament, but I think it'll make a lot of sense here in this matchup. They can actually start executing these champions. And that's been one of the difficulties is, you know, Moscow 5 has a very big front line, and they're going to build a lot of resistances. If you have that true damage ultimate, it's going to be really, really powerful. And yeah, I could totally see that working very, very well. It could be really strong.
We can see there looking at Darian and Gosu Pepper to his left. Darian locked in on Aurelia there, not really changing up too much. Gosu jumping out. These guys are saying, wait, for what the composition we just saw, I don't think I have the room page I want. Whoa.
Yeah, he actually messaged me, Diamond. He messaged me saying, hey, I need to remake for runes. I'll make, don't worry about it.
The composition is kind of back and forth there. And with Darius going top against Aurelia, that's going to be different for her. Obviously, just really a defensive lane, but that bleed is really going to help tick down into the health Aurelia is getting back from the attack.
I mean, Darius really is one of the best options against Aurelia. You know, she's going to be a little bit safe, probably try to last hit only with Blade Surge and immediately run backwards. Right. But anytime she does that, Darius can say,
apprehend.
Okay, pull. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, apprehend, you know, QW, just auto attacks and deal a lot of damage. And he's going to make her bleed, and it's going to do more than she's going to get back from P10 style. So that is a very good choice that Darius pick up. Really, really strong. And we're going to have a fun time with the tongue twister of saying Darius versus Darian. Thankfully, both are correct. No, I take that back. They're actually backwards because, of course, Darian's on Aurelia and Darius is being played on the other side there. So good luck, Riv. I hope you make it.
Yeah. Now we have that channel team coming out from Nunu and Galio as well. Galio, very effective at pushing that creep wave in middle, which is Morgana is also good at doing that as well. You just throw Resolute Smite down onto the caster minions and then throw, I don't even know what it's called, I forgot, but it's got leaves in it and it's pretty badass.
Righteous Gust.
It makes it go Righteous Gust. See, that's why you do the spotlights and I just yell into the microphone.
I got ability names. I'll give you that one. It's actually really helpful, right? Every time a champion comes out, I say each ability name like 20 times in a row, and then it's like, well, of course I know what they're called when I go to cast games. No big deal. But the one cool thing here as well for Alex is, you know, he is known for basically breaking minion kill barriers. He gets world records in minion kills, and it usually ends up being when he plays that Galio. He kills everything all the time. He takes all the raids. He takes all the minions, and he's gonna. I remember a screenshot where he's like 6-0-2 at 20 minutes with like 320 minions, and I'm like, how is that even possible? And he just does it, right? He runs teleport flash. Hey, he's got flash and teleport. I was right. But yeah, he runs that. And it's going to allow him to have that same presence that he does with Karthus, where, you know, Karthus, they get into a team fight, he casts Requiem, he deals a lot of damage. It's powerful. But additionally, you could also say, hey, well, I'm going to teleport to bottom lane, and then I'm going to kill you all. It's going to still work very, very well. He's going to like that a whole heck of a lot. So there's a lot of presence here overall. It's going to be really good.
Yeah, these teams are going to be big. With that long-range poke comp that they have, Darius wanting to get in there as well to finish off those attacks as well. Will they give him to Darius? Will they give him to Slepper? These guys are going to be coming up big, and those are the two that are really going to be throwing out the damage. Maluno not running Malphite, I believe, for one of the first times in this tournament that we're going to see him on Nocturne. So we'll see how they do that. That was also somewhat of a counter pick to Moscow 5, so they couldn't have, you know, Shen flying in there. The Twisted Fate was banned out, the Karth assault as well. They just don't want damage coming from anywhere in this game.
Yeah, and so they've got just a lot of defensive champions instead, right? They banned out all the high aggression and said, okay, we'll build a very big meat line who can still deal good damage. Shen, though he's a tank, has respectable damage. He won't scale as well as, say, Darius or Aurelia or even Nocturne to a certain extent, but still does some good damage, especially early on. His ganks have some nice burst on them. Aurelia will scale pretty much for free throughout the game with her true damage with E10 style. Galio's going to be big and beefy, but he'll have a lot of ability power anyway. And, of course, there's always Kog'Maw, and Kog'Maw with Blood Boil is a scary thing to fight against. And Curse, this time, they don't have a lot of assassins. You know, before they ran Ahri, and, you know, again, we had seen that from Froggen, you know, being just a big assassin on Ahri, on obviously not the same team on Counterlogic Gaming here, but, you know, Curse, they're instead saying, we're just going to kind of slug it out with you. And they'll take damage from that Kog'Maw, and it will hurt, but otherwise it's like giant frontline versus giant frontline who's going to do more damage. Extinct's going to jump in there on Morgana, flash Soul Shackles, hit the Zonias. It's going to be an interesting setup here. So who do you predict for this game?
The channel alts are going to be very big for Moscow 5. Like I said, they have an in-your-face team, and Genja was being very lucrative with hitting those living artilleries, being able to pick himself up kills in the end of that fight. And really, once you get an absolute 0 and that idol of Duran to go down from Galio and Nunu, that's a lot of damage. That can really pretty much put out what the Requiem that they're missing, and then Kog'Maw can continue to finish them off just like last game.
Yeah, and we'll see if that ends up being how their composition works out here. But we are now into Game 2 of the semifinal, the first one of the day. Let's get the cheering going on. If you want to hear Moscow 5, take it up to the 2-0 and move on. Let me hear a cheer for Moscow 5.
And adversely on the other side, your red team / purple team coming in here. CURSE.EU playing very dominant on the day. A very good game for them last time, but on their heels after that first game loss. If you guys want to see Curse bring this into a Game 3, let's hear it for CURSE.EU.
All right, and they do see each other across the map. People spamming back at each other. That buckshot being used by Graves to check that brush down below him. They're going to move in. Curse, they didn't actually go in for the... Oh, they did. Sorry, they did go in for the ward on the Wraith camp. They do that all the time, and they just don't want... You know, they want to just basically keep tabs on the jungler there. They want to know, basically by inferring, you know, yes or no, they want to figure out, is the jungler going for red early, you know, because if he clears Wraiths, he's going for red first. If he goes for Golem, is he going to clear the early Wraith camp, or is he ganking top off of that? There's a lot of things they know by putting that ward down.
Curse showing a lot of aggression here as they are already gathered around the blue buff. They're going to go ahead and ward that, though. If they're not really going to get a kill right now, they may be wasting time. They definitely want to try and grab the blue here, but if it gets too sticky, they may start to back off. A very good level 1 team here on the side of Moscow 5.
Yeah, well, Curse are going to send Graves towards the bottom lane, and they're going to go ahead for the Golem steal here. That should work pretty well. Again, they have wards, and they'll see if Shen goes up towards their blue or if he goes down towards his own red. And that's going to allow Curse to get a pretty safe steal here without a lot of losses. They grabbed 2 of the wolves so far. It's going to hurt that Shen later on as well as he gets less of those jungle monsters to kill. And they go the pressure onto that Golem. A lot of damage being dealt. Malino, because he has that, that ward, he knows that Shen is not coming. He gets to kill the blue buff. And actually, no, Anguish picks it up with the bleed from his passive. Malino's still level 2, though. But Anguish is like, hey, guys, remember I used to do this, you guys used to do this with Gangplank. You know, show up to lane with level 2 and a Golem buff? Well, let's do it again.
Yeah, so even that being the counter, even harder now, and he is level 2 quickly on that one. Aurelia still level 1 and forced to just kind of hang out in the backside. Darian waiting for the next creep wave to come up. A very good job for Anguish right now. Pulling him in, apprehend there, getting a few attacks down. You just see the bleed ticking. That second tag down on him as well. The ward is down, and they know Shen is coming top. And it looks like with that, he's saying, yeah, they probably got a ward here if they were here the entire time to take blue. I'm not going to waste time on that. I do see that my wolves got hit. So he's going back around to continue his jungle pattern.
Yeah, Darian getting forced back so heavily. Anguish wants to try as hard as he can not to push this minion wave down, because Darian's going to get free hits and free last hits at the turret if the minion wave gets up to it. And so Anguish wants to push as slowly as possible. He wants to buy as much time, because right now it's hard. It's hard for Aurelia to get minion kills right here.
Genja going in. The Dazzle goes out onto Slepper, or onto Genja rather. He was Wing Slepper with that Blood Boil on. 300 health left for him. Still a few potions left under his belt, so he's going to be able to sustain for another 300 HP. And there's one of them used right there. That'll put him back up and top him off to full. Galio kind of trying to farm next to his turret. They're just milling about in middle. As I said, both of those are pretty good farmers. Just Resolute Smite that back wave. You can see they both just use the same amount of mana to do that. Low mana, however, for Darian, as you see that blue buff helping so much. Anguish says, I want to take a few shots at the turret. Darian's going to use that. The Ignite goes down. He does not have enough HP to turret dive yet. And he will not have that Summoner spell.
Yeah, it's going to be Ignite down. Darian going to lose out on a few health potions, but still actually not in that bad of shape. And Anguish saying, you know what? You're going to recall, so I'm going to shove this minion wave as fast as possible. Look at the damage output he's doing here. And Anguish says, oh, you're going to shove the wave? I guess I'll less hit it then. And they're kind of playing mind games with each other then.
Oh, look at Nocturne. He sees him in the ward, and he's actually going to come over the right side in the wing. He finds him in the bush right there. Anguish trying to push forward, but he taunts him into the turret range. Anguish taking 3 shots from the turret, is forced to get out of there. Blue buff almost being donated over. Wow. Very smart play by the jungling of Curse. Maluno coming in.
That was really, really nice. Diamond with a great taunt. He forced Darien to attack, or sorry, forced English to attack him, which meant that he pulled turret aggro. Darien immediately chained that with his equilibrium strike there, and of course getting harassed so much meant it was a guaranteed stun, and he forced the flash away. So now English, without any summoner spells, of course was saved by Maluno there, but that was about it.
Still both taking so much damage in that fight. We see Maluno using that to his advantage, goes back down and hits up Wolves again to just leave one of them. Extinct coming around, and we see them just grabbing up each other's resources right now. Curse is denying jungle so much so early in this game. It's still 0-0. Everything is tied at 5 minutes.
Yeah, 15 to 20 on those minion kills there. Anguish jumping in onto Darien. A lot of damage being dealt. Look at that. Darien getting forced back. Now has full bleed stacks, and Anguish will chase down if he has the movement speed. So much damage. The slow goes back. And Aurelia with just boots and nothing else, whereas Anguish does have that ninja tabby. It's not going to take exactly a lot of damage here from Aurelia.
It's like Shen still milling about in the jungle. 19 creeps to Nocturne's 23. These guys are still kind of keeping it close. Shen, however, going back to get an early Doran shield, helping him sustain a little bit with that HP regen, getting a nice ward out for the bottom. They do know that Curse is all about that M5 jungle right now, so they're saying we need early wards, we need them in the river, we need to know before they're even in our jungle. One by the Wraith is not going to do it. They'll already have time to steal Wraiths. We need that early advantage.
Yep, and so we're just seeing them kind of go back and forth, try to kill everything they can. And the farm right now, Curse actually winning by 200 gold, so just by outlaning Moscow 5 so far, they've built themselves a bit of an advantage. That bottom lane now starting to shove toward a Moscow 5's base this time. Malino waiting around in the brush. They want to shove one more. He could sneak in now. Nunu's been shoved away. He could sneak into that. Oh, but they warded him. Somehow they know. And Moscow 5 said, or they pinged and said, we know that Nocturne's down there. We're going to give that one up. No thanks to you. They've kind of stabilized that lane again.
Looks like Alex turning back to lane here. He did get himself the Chalice already.
Top gang coming in.
Half-minute Chalice. We do see Extinct moving up top,
nope.
but that lane a little bit too pushed. And not with vision, though. Anguish is going to go down. And that actually, their blue buff should be up in about 15, 20 seconds right now. So we can see Anguish is like, hey, I want to take this again. Good warding going down as well. They just throw down 2 wards in the jungle of Moscow 5.
Wow, so they're just constantly holding up this vision. It's very, very good for them to do this. You can see just, Extinct trying to push the waves and show up somewhere else. He's even got a mana potion to keep his mana reserves up as he shoves around, but he's just not quite able to show up for any fights. Anguish just keeps pushing Darien to his turret, and so, no one can really get in behind him either. Actually, almost gave him a kill away when that had happened. And so, Extinct, again, just shoving, and trying to show up somewhere else to make his team win these fights. But Alex now, with Chalice, is just refusing to pretty much lose mana anymore and is going to do a lot of damage here, bullying Extinct around with that Resolute Smite. And, of course, having 78 magic resist makes him very hard to kill as well. And here we go, Malino going again for a steal on this Golem, and Extinct coming by to help that. Darius shows up as well, and here comes the rest of the team. A 3-on-3 fight. Both sides have been warded out there. They will not quite land on a shine. He's going to dash away. Smite's going to grab that. Malino's going to get that one for free. Darien stuns up Anguish. This could be a fight. Nope, everyone's going to back off. And just a great stab here from Curse. Taking a page from Moscow 5's book and stealing away these buffs as they respawn.
That was a great almost initiation there. I was thinking, why isn't Alex going in for Idol of Duran? But there was just a little too much AoE on the side of Curse for that fight. And it was really good for them to just pull back. That was not a 3v3 that they wanted to fight yet. We do see this huge aggression coming from Curse. Very TSM-esque. But they really didn't get the counter jungle on early except for that blue buff. They were able to come out, and now with all the wards, they're playing super aggressive lanes. They always know where Diamond Prox is. He is not level 6 yet, so they can push as much as they want without fear of the jungler coming out of anywhere.
Yeah, although I think Anguish, I don't think he's dominating as well as I think he would have hoped so.
Right.
The minion kills 55 to 52. He's not really destroying Darien's gold income. I mean, the early attempt for the kill didn't quite go in, so, a good survival there. But, normally you would have expected Darius to just completely shut down the gold income. That hasn't been the case here. However, though, that team overall Curse, they've now gotten both golem buffs. I think, again, I don't think anyone's actually had one yet, so on Moscow 5s. That is a very good set of control. That's going to give them a really good advantage in this game.
You know, that will be big too because Galio not exactly the best last hitter with his auto attack. Focuses on that Resolute Smite. The tether goes down, gets the shield off as well, and he's able to dash out of that one safely. Malino, ultimate now down for Nocturne. It'd be pretty safe all around for a fight initiation. The wards for Moscow 5, really because of Nocturne, have to be placed a little bit farther out because of that quasi-global ultimate. So you got to really change up your warding position when playing against somebody, Nocturne jungle.
Yeah, we're just seeing, though, English still just shoving this top lane. We're just watching Darius just kind of push. And Darian on Aurelia is like, okay, I'll freeze this wave right in front of my turret. You can't dive me. You being a bully doesn't matter if I have a turret to back me up. Yeah, he takes some damage that does hurt him a little bit. Actually, a really nice set of aggression there. Ignite going up, trying to make that even scarier. Just doesn't quite matter, though. Darian really just not taking too much damage. English is not dominating this lane as well as you would hope. This bottom lane, check up on the minions right now. Actually, a stun on the Ghosty Pepper, taking a lot of damage right now. The flash, the exhaust is on. Slepper still chasing down. The teleport coming in onto that ward, and Alex is going to be in up behind them. Zinnik taking a lot of damage, and there is the taunt as well. Can Alex do enough damage? Ult comes out from Kog'Maw, a lot of damage. There's a stun. Alex, his Q is up, and there is first blood picked up. That teleport to the ward, exactly what they needed.
A very nice job there, Alex, locking them down with the Galio ultimate. Didn't even really need to use any of his other spells, just kind of walked it in there. They knew Kog'Maw was coming up, able to deal that damage safely. Nobody panicked. Maluno catching Darian there. Darian pretty much out of mana for this fight here. May have some summoner spells up. He does have Flash and Ignite. Quickly gets that stun down, and that is the last bit of mana he has left and says, I think it's time to go back now.
Yeah, so he's going to recall back. Unfortunately, Anguish was not quite in lane in time. He was 10 seconds away from turning that into almost a guaranteed kill. As Aurelia had to land that stun to escape. Yeah, she had Flash, but I still feel like he could have Flash apprehended and made that still a very available kill there. Even so, he will try to shove this one down. Goes for a fast phage, wants to get a lot of crowd control into that sort of setup. And of course, if he can pin Aurelia down with that phage, he's going to have a very good time of killing her.
Genja doing a great job of poking with living artillery, getting, that is Slepper caught up in his minions. A dodge there by him. Slepper able to dodge with quick draw, so it's not too much, but does he just want to use that to keep dodging if Genja's going to be so aggressive? Genja holding off now with that as he is low on mana, so Slepper kind of easy to farm here. Genja just using that to last hit.
Yeah, Genja not being too overly aggressive. We're not seeing them really burn through Curse's lineup, but here comes the ultimate from Nunu as Nocturne shows up. A lot of damage being dealt there, but they're going to chase down onto Genja right now. Flash, or the heal, and the summoner, the teleport from Shen is going to taunt them in. There's two taunts right there, but this time the teleport is down for Galio. He's not going to show up in time. The stun on a Diamond. Diamond taking a lot of damage from Shatter. The flash in from Maluno. Can he get the one kill? There's one. Diamond, will he go down? They will not quite chase that one. Genja doing a bit of damage. Extinct coming to support. Slepper could almost run into that Galio, though. Could be a little bit scary. That will not quite be a kill, but a great 1-for-1 right there. Curse and Moscow 5 trading kills there. And now the bottom lane once again secure.
Yeah, very good job there as they trade it back and forth. Diamond making it out. The teleport in really helping. And they were able to kind of pick themselves up some kills there. 2-1 now as the gold is just about 600, now 400 in difference. Alex East returning back to lane here. Still not getting really any of their blue buffs. However, they should be coming up quite soon. It looks like Darius and Anguish going to return to that top lane. There actually is their blue buff. Will they be able to grab their first one? I don't think they still have the timer on this, so Darian is going to get this, have Alex come over, and it looks like they will be donated their first blue at 13 minutes.
Yeah, this time Malino and Anguish not in position here to steal this one away. This should be a pretty easy pickup here for Alex. There's the EQ, and he's going to pick those up, all the gold on him, and now near infinite mana on this Galio. He will be able to push very, very hard. He'll be able to start taking Wraith camps a bit quicker as well, and we'll see those minion kills really skyrocket on both sides. Extinct doing a phenomenal job, 136 minions. Some more pressure in his bottom lane, though. Ghost Pepper taking a bit of damage. And again, Curse just loves to play aggressive here on this Graves Terror combo. But you're seeing Moscow 5 just kind of shove back and not care all that much ultimately. 91 to 100 in minions, so Kog'Maw having a very good lane for himself.
Yeah, he's able to keep that up there. Last hitting with living artillery if it's even behind the turret. So Genja doing a very good job of utilizing his mana for harassment and for CSing in lane, keeping himself really at top notch in that lane. They are 9 to 8, so he is a level on Slepper right now. It's going to be a good amount of damage scaling for him, but in the fight overall, it's going to really go back and forth with the abilities of the supports to lock down those AD carries. Anguish still playing as strong, and like you said, don't think he took advantage of that blue buff early enough. He didn't want to push his lane too much, obviously, has a bit of that AoE attack, but he still could have just kept spamming out his skills with that blue buff so early in the game.
And there we go, Moscow 5 returning the favor now, going for a stab at the golem themselves. A lot of clearing coming from Alex. They want to give that one away to Diamond, though, and they will give that one. So Moscow 5 now turning it around. Of course, they were up in kills, 200 gold overall. Pressure at this top lane, though. Darius not going to like this. And Anguish and Malino going through and making that a really, really good kill after that stab came at their golem. But Moscow 5 says, there are 2 people at the top lane. Let's go kill a dragon. And Kosi Pepper, we just see him every time just churn absolute zero just to deal more damage to big objectives like dragon. It's going to work out pretty well for him. And they're going to, looks like, get it for pretty much free. Oh, his smite was down. They're trying not to kill it too fast because they were worried about a steal. Now Alex up in the battle against Extinct. His Q's going to come up from cooldown, and he's going to ult first, though. Here comes Kosi Pepper. The slows are everywhere, and this black shield will just block off all those slows, and here comes the ultimate. So much damage coming out. Extinct getting a little bit of health back, and the stuns are massive, but the slow is going to be too much. Moscow 5 picking up another kill in that mid lane. Very nice job there by the 3 of them.
And it's good for them. 3-2 now. Gold is only at a 300 gold difference. These guys are really getting some items under their belts for the recipes. A Hex Drinker onto Darius, as well as a Phage, that needlessly large rod going onto Extinct, so he's going to get a little bit more damage out of there. The Chain Vest next into his Zonias. Probably going to stay in lane for that entire gold amount. And 2 Heart of Gold, or 2 Gold per 10 rather, on Taric down bottom. So these guys trying to get as much gold under their belt as they can. They are a little bit down. They do have a turret in their favor, which is going to help that top lane push a little bit more. They're going to have Darius now able to roam. Is going to be very big if they can get people down to low health, and he can just consecutively dunk down on them with that ultimate.
Well, they could go for a dive right here. They would have a 3 versus 2, but the rest of Moscow 5 now showing up, and Zinnik taking so much damage right there.
Forced to flash out. They are going to be still vision in the bush from Living Artillery. Blood Boil will catch them back up. Will he be able to hit that E? No, just getting out of range. The vision is still onto Zinnik, but the range on the Kog'Maw ultimate not level 3 yet.
Yeah, and the guy, even without boots, though, on this Taric, still getting away from that fight. You're going to start to see a lot of scary things happen there. Alex now has 160 magic resist, 165 ability power as well. He's got the Abyssal Scepter in the mix. He's going to do a lot of damage because of that. And the cool thing on his side is the magic resist reduction from that Abyssal Scepter is going to help out Nunu, Kog'Maw, and Shen. Not so much Aurelia, but that's fine. He's actually helping a lot of his team with the magic resist shred from that item, despite not running double mage.
There we go. Galio clearing out mid. Looks like to reset that lane and go for the Wraiths of Curse here. They're going to get some damage down on this turret. Malino staying a little too close. Will kind of get chunked down there, but he looks like he backs off in time. Zinnik here to return to the lane, shatter out the minions and try and clear it up. And look at this, again, is one of those lanes. Morgana, Galio, not champions that are really going to be able to burst each other down and kill each other. So they're really fighting that top and bottom lane. It's about roaming for these two to really get that kill.
Yeah, both of them farming exceptionally well. Ghost Pepper coming into a fight here. Supper taking a bit of damage. His bottom lane, they're trading back and forth pretty equally. Nunu is running out of health right now. He's got his gold pretends, but not much else under his belt. Kog'Maw doing some decent damage there. Graves taking a bit of pain, but Nunu again getting jumped on. A lot of pain going off onto him. He's not going to like that too much.
So here we have Anguish and Extinct pushing into middle. And we'll have to see what they can produce for something. No, it looks like they're going to go down towards some bottom aggression here. Genja, not too much mana. You see he's staying in lane, though, with that Blood Boil on him, which means Nunu is close. That kind of gives that away. They did see him, however, walk towards the bush, so it's not magical that they know Nunu is there from Blood Boil. They will, however, be able to tell. Darian pushing that top turret, and they are going to be 1-for-1 on turrets now. 18 minutes, 30 seconds into the game. Usuchi Dragon coming up quite soon as well. Darian getting pushed now. Malino and Anguish both pushing in here. If they have run like Kikis, man, he's going to be able to make it out.
He's going to be okay. A nice move there from Alex to show up and support his teammate in case anyone came from the flank. He's going to go back into this lane and just shove out these minions once again, just getting so much gold from these pushes. And you can just see Alex just racking up these minion kills here. Then to see if he makes a move. His teleport is up. If anyone goes for any sort of unwanted aggression, he can show up and make that fight better. Speaking of aggression, this bottom lane, Zinnik and Nunu is going to go for the ultimate. Zinnik taking a bit of damage there. They're still chasing in. Can Genja do enough damage? Because Slepper has turned around with the Ignite doing a lot of damage there, but he is going to get forced back, and it looks like it's going to be okay once again. But these sides just trading damage back onto each other over and over.
Doing a very nice job now. See, quite low on the bottom. Genja actually trying to get in on Slepper there. He tries to shut down Vision, both low on mana, both a little low on health, but that half mana bar is very much in favor of Slepper, especially with a Maluno coming top here. Maluno just waiting to ult in. Paranoia is up. They are so low on HP. Why do they not go in right now? He could quick draw in and completely bait that out for the attack, but it looks like they're going to go ahead and back off without any vision there. And really, Curse playing very safe right now. They could have had a kill there.
Yeah, that absolutely was a possibility. The Summoner heal and Flash were up, so maybe that's what they were afraid of there, that Genja could have kept himself alive.
That's a good point.
I mean, burst damage is burst damage. Sometimes it's going to work out for you.
Genja still staying in lane and would even in more position, but they have a ward in that tri-bush, so he knows he can kind of put himself towards that top side and be safe. Anguish now roaming around as he still has some creeps to farm top, but it looks like Dragon may be coming up, so they're going to start moving him down towards bottom, and they're going to start looking for this next objective here. 20 minutes into the game, it's 3-2, and it's still anybody's. We saw last game going back and forth. 2 Barons were necessary for Moscow 5 to really bring it back into their favor, but it seems they have a little bit of early control over this game as opposed to last, and there it is. The Paranoia coming in. Slepper taking a good amount of damage. His mana goes down. He may not be very useful and is forced to flash out of this fight. Darian is locked up by the Dark Binding. That Tormented Soil shredding his magic resistance. 2 kills coming up for Moscow 5 there. They try to flash away from the Soul Shackle, and it is Curse forcing out Moscow 5 on the fight now after losing 2. Very nice Idol of Duran from Alex Ish to quickly turn it back. Nice job, Angus picking up a kill onto Aurelia there, giving himself a little bit more gold. Hex Drinker really giving him some sustain there and turning around the fight. Alex says, I still want to chase. A flash out of Resolute Smite. Righteous Gust keeping him with speed. And a Dark Binding from the left side would have stopped up Alex there. So in a 2-for-1, a very nice job coming out by Moscow 5.
Yeah, very good. Close fight. 2-1 overall. They went up. Darian with the last tick of Ignite managed to chop down Slepper at the end there. Anguish came back with that one execute picking up Darian, but ultimately, yeah, 5-3 now. Moscow 5 building up an early game lead. This is kind of a scary situation to be in because their late game is still very good with Galio, Aurelia, and Kog'Maw in the mix. So Curse, you know, their early game is very good and they got outscaled. I'm worried about their scaling this game as well. It's looking a little scary for them. Of course, they can always chain kills together. Again, that I think they want to rely on Darius just to be a big executor and chop down these big, high durability targets in the end game. And that could be enough for them if they can make that happen.
Here we are moving down. Darian moving into the bush. They don't have vision there, but both teams do have an Oracle, Maluno and Diamond Prox with that. They don't have vision on Dragon right now, and they're somewhat in position to take that. Nope, Extinct just back. If they're really to go for this, it's going to be quite dangerous. So that Dragon at 28-24 is going to be your next one. 190 gold globally going to that team of Moscow 5. More than happy to grab it. Putting finally a gold deficit that matters. 3,000. It's not that much, but it's more than the 300 just previously a few minutes ago.
Alrighty, let's see what they can do though. This gold lead is growing a little bit for Moscow 5. You know, of course those dragons have been helping. And wow, they're even going through their own jungle and just taking up more and more monsters. Looks like they've seen a little bit of aggression here. Anguish is jumping up. They're doing a lot of damage to Darian. The Apprehended in there as well. Gonna get stunned up. Ghost Paper shows up though for that Ice Blast. And that is a 4-second long slow. Anguish really getting slowed down here. But Curse going for a 3-man push because this minion wave. And Moscow 5 aren't really ready to stop this. They've got a little bit of, oh, there's a nice stun coming up from that Morgana. And Darian's gonna lock that one up a little bit. Some good damage being dealt. But now getting CC'd up in that turret's gonna suck really hard for him. He's gonna drop down. And there comes Alex. He's trying to wait out these spell shields and pick up the taunt. Can he land it? He's going to grab Morgana. It's going to be pretty difficult for her. There's the taunt. Nice kill pick up there. Ghost Pepper running forward, trying to pick up Maluno as well. And the Ice Blast is on. Maluno's going to go down. Double kill picked up for Galio. And very, very good patience on both sides there. He did not ult while those spell shields were on. Now Moscow 5 jumping in for the Baron attempt. Ghost Pepper again immediately triggering his ultimate, trying to bring that down faster.
Yeah, they do have Taric and Graves coming in here. Now, if they can kind of stop and mill about this, they're obviously not going to go for a full Baron fight. But it looks like Moscow 5 is. They say, you know what, they want to try. We'll get this and Baron. He flashes out. Slepper is forced to quick draw over the ledge. And Gosu says, don't worry, I'll keep the stragglers away. Looks like we're going to grab our first Baron of this game. Moscow 5 keeping Baron control throughout these 2 matches in this best of 3.
And wow, this is going to be a very big advantage for them. 9-3 in kills, 4,000 gold to lead, and there goes Baron. Now it's a 5,000 gold lead, almost 6, and they've got a very big buff on themselves. There is no way Curse wants to go for a fight here, which means Moscow 5 kind of dictate the pace now. If they want to slow it down and wait for late game, they have 4 free minutes of control here. If they want to go for a push, well, they've got 4 minutes of being superior, and they can really push for it if they want to.
So we got, I believe it was a 35-21 on Baron that it will be coming up, or 33-21 rather.
Yeah, we got a little while up until that spawn, of course. 7 minutes for Baron. 30 seconds done right now, and so we'll see in 7 minutes if that ends up being a big point of contention, or if Moscow 5 will continue to drive this game and they become kind of untouchable here. Angus shoves that top lane a little bit, has that Maw of Malmortes in addition to that Phage. He's going to be pretty powerful right now. A lot of attack damage on him. We're seeing Curse getting pushed back a little bit here. And they're going to try to regroup because I think Moscow 5 are getting ready to push here. Alex Ish able to now one-shot most of these minion waves. And that's going to make it very easy for him to
great
push.
taunt onto Angus. He is going to get the Void Ooze down. Does he have enough room to get over to the wall? Hex Drinker coming up for himself, and he does stay alive. Oh, Blade Surge in, and it is going to be Darren to finish off that one with the assist coming from Shen and Kog'Maw. Very nice for them. We do have items being completed now. Graves with that Infinity Edge. It'll be very nice for Slepper. He was putting out a lot of damage last game and was a very pivotal player for that Curse team. We'll see if he can do it once again for his team. That Zhonya's being finished on Extinct. More than happy to jump into that channel ult of both Alex and Nunu. With that Zhonya's on, they are going to be able to take down this middle inhibitor turret. The Baron now coming into play, way bigger than last time for Moscow 5 in last game. They are utilizing this one to the fullest. 2 turrets right after Baron consecutively, and they're going to be knocking on the front door of Curse's base.
Yeah, and there we go. 2 turrets have gone down very quickly, as you just said, of course. I'm re-quoting you. And they're going to jump in there. Zinnik down to half health right now. 3rd turret now under siege, but they need to wait for a minion wave for that backdoor bonus. The turret with the bonus armor and magic resist. They don't want to deal with that just yet. Of course, they've got Shen pushing top right now. Diamond can get some free farm coming out of that jungle there and farming top lane. First, they're showing up. Actually, there's going to be a jump in. Morgana's going to go for the ultimate. Lands a few, but Gallia going back for it. Double kill immediately. And Angush now not having a good time. Alex getting very, very low. Will drop down to the bleed, but Genja alone picks up a kill for himself on a Nocturne. Blood Boil, of course, helping in that procedure, and it's been 4 for 1 right now.
It looks like they're going to go straight for this turret. Gosu is going to... Yes, he is. And the surrender coming out from CURSE.EU. Moscow 5 showing dominance in the first game later and carrying that quickly into the second game from the minute 1.
Yeah, a phenomenal, phenomenal game by them. That first one, a great comeback. That one team fight turned it around. This time, they really never let up. They were pushing and pushing and kind of winning almost every fight the entire game. They looked like the Moscow 5 that everyone fears, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's a team that came in as a very heavy favorite. Very few teams have ever really beaten them in a match, and you know, even more difficult to do that in person on a LAN setting. And they just 2-0'd one of the best teams in the world just now. You know, they came out of the group as a second-place team, but seems to not matter to them. They said Group B is the good group. Let's do this. And Moscow 5 are now into the finals.
You know what becomes scary here is at Hanover, we saw Moscow 5 for pretty much the first time in that big LAN scene. And it was all about being in your face in the jungle up until 2.5 to 3 minutes. Sometimes with the support, they ran that Janna Lee Sin sometimes. Janna Nocturne in the jungle to keep you unaware of, oh, yeah, it's only a one-on-one red buff. Wait, Howling Gale just came out of nowhere. And then they were like, yeah, who's going to be able to beat that late game? Now without any counter jungling, they did a little bit there. They were actually counter jungled really hard there by Curse. Wards all over, pushed into their lanes the entire time. They're still able to bring out that Moscow 5 dominant play. And it's just really scary what these guys can produce with any composition.
Yeah, these guys' teamwork is top-notch. You know, you saw them just be so, you know, together and making those right calls. You saw the teleport in from Galio for that one kill at the bottom lane, which really turned around a very aggressive play. You know, Kog'Maw knowing, oh, I don't have anyone to really to protect me here. You know, Nunu has exhaust, and that's good, but I'm going to bring Summoner Heal to make sure they can't dive me and shut me down early game. That Kog'Maw, of course, surviving very, very well, grabbing Mercury Treads and 3 Doran's Blades, just making sure that he was not going to be succumbing to any early aggression at the beginning of the game. even, you know, he only went 1-5, but that didn't matter, right? He was a big source of damage, 8,000 gold, and only a 27-minute game is pretty good. He still had that Phantom Dancer done. He was doing a great bit of damage. So, you know, phenomenal job ultimately by Moscow 5 in those games.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's hear it from the man himself, mid-Galio, Alex Ish with Joe Miller in the competition area.
Joining me here is Alex Itch from the player area, of course, from Moscow 5. Alex, a 2-0 win there in the semi-final, but it wasn't that easy. Talk us through the first game and what happened there, because actually, for a little while, you were actually behind.
In first game, Ari was roaming a lot. I was careless, so I couldn't just go with her. So it was like when they had pushed bottom, so we got a lot of problems, but we got late game, so we were just turtling. And then we got into team fights. Yorick was owning his lane, so he was a real threat. The only damage that could deal to him was like Ari, so it was like when Ari got no jumps, we could fight like easy. So we just tried to bait her to use her ulti, and then we tried to team fight. So that's how we did, and then win team fight by team fight.
And what about game number 2? That one seemed to come a little bit easier than the first one. Talk us through the critical points of that game.
With that game, I think they were a bit outpicked. I mean, their bot lane got, I think, got a hard time. The only our weak point was jungle, so he was real out-farmed a lot. But as we got no problems at all lanes, it didn't matter much. So he just got level 6 with Shen and then ulted on lanes that he needed. And Galio is actual counter pick to Morgana, and Darian, I think, got his tower pushed and then just froze the lane, so Darius should roam, but there was nowhere to roam.
And what about the other semi-final? Fnatic, you're going to take on CLG. You lost to CLG last night in a fantastic game for people to watch, at least. I'm not sure if it was so fantastic for you guys. What are you expecting to see in that final, in that other semi-final?
Whatever, but we hope Fnatic to win.
So you'd rather play Fnatic than CLG once again in the grand final?
I think if it will be CLG, this will be long games. That's why it's like we want to play Fnatic. We're not that good at 60, 70, 80-minute games. We just, I think, get nervous and then do stupid mistakes like we did yesterday.
Well, Alex, anything to say to your fans, the people out there watching the stream after that win?
I would like to thank our sponsors, BenQ and MSI. I would like to say thank you to Moscow 5 bringing us here. And I would like to say hello to all my fans. Hello to my girlfriend. I love you. And hello to my parents. And hello to all forums that I'm sitting, Prodotoru and stuff. Thanks everyone for watching us. Hope we will win the finals.
Well, Alex, congratulations once again on getting through to the grand finals. Of course, that's definitely not it from us today. We'll be moving next into the second semi-final, CLG versus Fnatic. Don't go anywhere.